The cherry blossom trees are in full bloom here outside of Queen's Park. Inside the legislature, though, there's a, shall we say, budding controversy about a 6-day taxpayer-funded trip Minister Todd Smith took to India last week. He didn't alert the media about it ahead of time, and the reason he gave for that was rather unusual.
The big reason was because there's a federal election underway in India right now, and we didn't want to interfere in the federal election. This was all about government direct to business. There's 900 million people voting in India right now. This was direct to business, and that's what we did.
This, in Ontario, that you're taking a trip to India would affect the Indian election. How does that make sense?
This wasn't about going over there for photo ops.
Wow, I didn't realize he has that much power. I didn't. I guess the minister must be a rock star in India. We'll have to check, see if he's doing any Bollywood cameos in the next few months. Look, here's the question. You went to India. Who went? How much did you spend? Did Ontario News Now go? I mean, they went to New York.
We're here in New York telling the world that it's easier to invest in Ontario.
Indeed, the taxpayer-funded Ontario News Now that only does forward flattering stories was on a 2-day trip the Premier took to Manhattan last week. That was a trip the media was also not invited on. It's not clear what it cost. Details on Minister Smith's trip to India were equally as hard to come by.
There were very few staff that went.
How many?
Very few.
However, the minister's office issuing me a statement later that reads in part, the minister, quote, took only 4 staff who were absolutely necessary to ensure the success and safety of the mission. The trip expenses will be made public in line with the current provincial disclosure policy.
I encourage you all to go get those expenses, find out who went, and then compare it to the Liberals who went on this trip a couple of years ago, and you will say, man, this is very responsible.
The minister said he acted as his own media on the trip.
I posted every day that I was there on Twitter.
Pictures on the minister's Twitter showed him meeting and exchanging gifts with Indian business leaders. The pictures did not appear to show that any Ontario business leaders were on the trip with him.
The minister doesn't sign contracts on behalf of Ontario businesses. Ontario businesses do that. And what we were trying to do is put the business people together.
Anyone traveling on government business on a flight longer than 5 hours is entitled to sit in business class. And while we don't know exactly what the trip cost or how many people were on it, round-trip airfare between Toronto and Delhi in business class will set you back around $5,000 per person. Outside the legislature, Richard Southern, City News.